Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nemeka Onyeka Obereri. I'm here to discuss the deadly combination of incompetency and criminality. The worst thing that can happen, in fact, the greatest gift that the Almighty God can give to any entrepreneur or businessman is the gift of the human capital with good skills, with deep knowledge, with wisdom, with competencies, with skills, and above all, with integrity. When you have a team filled with competent men and women who are very honest, who are very dedicated, who are very diligent, you don't know the kind of gift that God provided for you. All over Nigeria, a vast majority of us wallow in this deadly combination of incompetence and criminality. One of my friends, Marvelous, told a story about how he went to fix his car, do his car normal check, when you want to do motor check, to do what we call MOT, Ministry of Transport, routine checks. And he took the vehicle to a workshop owned by a Nigerian. And of course, the guy wanted to extort him and he lied to him that his car failed the test. Of course, being a smart guy, when a car is failed the test is listed, you can easily check it online. He checked, it wasn't there. So he now accosted the guy. Now the guy confessed. He collected money for him to do a work he did not do. And it's the same thing all over the place here in Nigeria. The guy simply exported his criminality and incompetence to the UK. I also have another friend in Canada who told me of how he had an issue with his electrical appliances. He was even thinking about how he was going to change it. And the Oyibo man entered inside and, of course, he just showed him that it was one small fuse and was very grateful to help him fix it. Of course, I am not saying that the Shoji are criminals and the Shocha are honest. No. Every society, white, black, green, yellow, have their fair share of the good, the bad, and all the criminals. And the worst is that when you're criminally minded and you're incompetent, that's a deadly combo that can destroy, and it is deadlier than Ebola and the HIV and the COVID-19 joined together. So, Moses was such a very meek man that after he, led the Israelites and he got to a point God wanted him to build tabernacle for him. Of course, there is no building without a vision. You can't build any successful business without vision and passion for what you want to build. If you're doing something because Mr. A is doing it or Mr. B, there is no vision or conviction, you will not succeed. Moses was given that vision. God showed him clearly the pattern of what he wants him to do, how he wants him to do it, the resources that he wants him to use to do it, and how it will turn out to be. Moses was ready to build based on the convincing vision that he got. Of course, but he cannot build alone. Nobody makes wealth or creates wealth alone. You must also look for competent and complementing team members to complement you. So, of course, God helped him to, discover the men with skills. The Bible describes as men with good skills, with wisdom, with diligence, Holiab and Bezalel and all the rest of them. And they began to build. Of course, God also steered the heart of the people to contribute. When you have a good vision, when you have a good project, when you have good mission, when you're passionate about what you're doing, God will not only raise the team to help you, God will raise the finances. The people contributed so much that Moses already knew the budget. You cannot build without a BOQ. You must have a bill of quantity. Nobody goes to build. Bible said you can't build. Before you even start the journey, you will have counted the cost. When they contributed the right amount that Moses needed, he asked them to stop contributing. He wasn't greedy. He wasn't profligate. He wasn't a thief. Moses is not like the current religious bandits who will say, okay, they'll come to the altar and say, okay, God told them that they need 200 people that will give 5,000. After that, the criminal will not turn again and say, oh, God said people that can give 2,000. Before it again, his God will change again, it's 1,000. But he initially said it's only 2,000 or 5,000. That is the kind of, Moses wasn't that a criminal religious bandit. Moses was a visionary who God gave leadership. And he was very meek and competent. And of course, they built. After building, according to that pattern, the Bible said the glory of God came down. When you build based on conviction, based on a vision given to you, based on deep understanding, based on clear plan and everything, and you have the right team of competent and honest men, and you build it very, very well, glory will always tabernacle there. So you see all manner of It's something I was sharing with somebody. Look at, see, most of the guys who does POPs and some of the, have you seen the Togolese or the Beniners when they do their block works or they do their POPs? Excellent. In fact, the Togolese, when they do their block work, you can even pack into the house without plastering it. So beautifully laid out. Why? These guys go through extensive training, knowledge acquisition, and they transfer it. In Nigeria, one criminal will just wake up and he claim he's a mechanic. Maybe he saw somebody doing it, and of course he keep all the cycling quacks. When you bring your car, you first of all steal all the parts, carry all the catalyst, then he will end up destroying your car. I've said it, and I've said it here. We don't even have a registry of artisans in Nigeria. We cannot say how many tailors we have in Nigeria. We cannot say how many shoemakers we have in Nigeria. We cannot say how many mechanics we have in Nigeria and different mechanics of different car brands. We cannot say how many plumbers we have in Nigeria. See, any decent society must have records of who and who is doing what and what. Number of lawyers, doctors. If you have a robust registry across the 3 tiers of government of these things, it will help us to plan. We don't even know the number of houses that we have in Nigeria. We don't even know anything because we hate data. They will tell you, now data will go chop. We hate data, but we forget that data helps you to plan. Data helps you. See, the other day I left my office in Kopa Road. I was going to Banana Land, and it was late in night. I had a flat tire. And I couldn't get any vulcanizer anywhere. Now, an idea came to my mind. Do you know that within that fleeting moment I was in trouble, I just had an idea. Because I was driving alone, to come out in that night, darkness, to begin to loosen tire. I had to drive that way and condemn that tire and the way. But something came to my mind. Now, I asked myself this question. Do we even have a registry of the number of vulcanizers we have in Lagos or across the 8,809 electoral wards? We don't. But do you know that in decent societies, we should have that record? We should have a record at the municipals of those vulcanizers. And let me tell you how it helps. We've actually started a digital app that we're going to use to do this. It's not just creating a digital app. We're going to also grow it from bottom up. And what is that? If you have a list of all the vulcanizers, because even most of the vulcanizers we have in Nigeria are wax. A vulcanizer don't even know the meaning of PSI. He does not know that every tire has the level of air that you must put inside it. You will see somebody, a car that has 45 PSI. You will see him loading it with 60 something. So it's madness everywhere. Bedlam. So now ask yourself this question. If we had a dossier, a register of all the vulcanizers in Nigeria, we train them properly on what they are supposed to do, provide them with the equipment, and we set them up into cooperatives, and we know where they are. And of course, they load it inside the app that I've created. You know what will have happened? All I will have done was to open the app and I will click nearest vulcanizer. It will show me the nearest vulcanizer with the phone number and everything. All I will have done was just call the guy. Say, okay, this is where I am. Can you roll down here or can you bring it? Of course, I will pay the money that will bring him there. But as at that particular moment in time, I was in dark. I was in the dark. There was nothing I could do. So it's the same thing. We don't even have a record of mechanics that we have in Nigeria. How many Mercedes-Benz mechanic? Have we passed them through a training program where we would train them on how to do? See, let me tell you, when you have efficient service delivery, excellent, skillful, wisdom service delivery, diced and soaked in integrity, society grows. But practically what we have here is a bedlam of hoodlums and criminals. All they want is what they start, what to steal, and to just go and do dream. Nobody wants to work. Peter Big says it is nobody wants to make wealth based on honest, skillful, productive enterprise. Everybody just wants to steal and grab. That is why you take your car to a mechanic, they will butcher it. And the very few mechanics that we have here are so Shylock in nature that they will cut your arm and your leg. It's everything, everywhere. In the classroom, you have quacks who call themselves teachers. In the medical profession, you have barely illiterate human beings who call themselves medical personnel. Everything is on the downward speed. At the leadership position, from the federal to state local government, you have practically incompetent hoodlums and bandits masquerading as political leaders. Majority of them, very, very minute, insignificant number you can lay hand on and say, okay, these ones are different. So That is it. The most dangerous combination that anybody can encounter is the dangerous combination of incompetence and lack of integrity. When you meet a man who is incompetent and who also lacks integrity, it's a poisonous spear that is willing to destroy, detonate everything within his part, on his part. So we just need to sit down and ask ourselves the kind of country and nation we want to build. And you want to ask yourself, why do you claim what you cannot do? You say you can do it when you cannot do it. The same thing I say to anybody who can listen. I give the example. Netherlands. I am massively in the investment banking sector, oil and gas sector, agri sector, and I see a lot of charlatans along the line. And I ask myself, have you bothered to ask yourself this question? Netherlands has 1.2 actually, because 1.6 is when you add the other one, the ones they do with reclaimed land and in the houses and other areas on water and all those stuff. 1.6 million hectares of land mass, arable land mass. Because their land mass is 1.1 million hectares, but the real arable land mass is 1.6 million hectares. 118 million people, the total population. Netherlands, that is their population, total population. They have less than 200,000 people in the agri sector. Netherlands every year produce, they have 100% domestic food self-sufficiency. They export 122 billion euros of agro commodities. This is more than 2 times total exports of Nigeria as a country from one sector. Of course, aggregate, they do over $600 billion in exports. Ask yourself this question. I am from the southeast, Alibo. We have 2.8 million hectares of land mass. Most of them arable. We have 22 million population estimate of Ndibo within these 5 states. We have more than that in diaspora, over 25-30 million in diaspora, both within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Now ask yourself this question. If 18 million people on 1.6 million hectares with only 200,000 farmers could generate 122 billion euros, why are we not doubling that number or equaling it in the southeast? It's the same culture of mediocrity. These guys are scientific. They employ the best mechanized and tech approach to whatever they are doing. They know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and there is maximum security. They know the input, they know the output. But here we are filled with Omar of between 2015, 2023, the CBN under Buhari and MFL wasted 1.65 trillion naira funding criminals and bandits who claim to be agri practitioners. Monies that never came back. There's nothing they are doing that other countries are not doing. Vietnam is doing intervention, massive intervention. In Indonesia, they give you long-term funding at 2% for agro projects. You will see the impact of what those other countries are doing. As at 1965, we used to control 45% of the global palm oil market. Today, that market is $82 billion size. If we had held to that position, by now we'll be exporting nothing less than $38 billion worth of palm value chain. But today, we can't even satisfy 50% of our domestic demand, because our domestic consumption. We import what we can easily produce here. The Indonesians and the Malaysians scientifically developed it and control 85%. The Indians control moringa. The South Africans, and now Kenya is pursuing them at the hill, control macadamia. Take our time to do these researches. And these things I'm talking about, the date palm, Saudi Arabia, as worthy as they are, in 2006 decided to go into date palm production as a way of checking desert encroachment and creating oils of wealth. Within a space of 15 years, they've done over $2 billion worth of it. Egypt is the #1 champion there. But do you know that Nigeria is the only place in the whole wide world, northern Nigeria, where date fruits in the wild twice a year? So if the Egyptians with 95% desert and the Saudi Arabians with 95% desert are doing it, we can do it times 10. We've done massive proposals to the northern governors on how they can create 2,500 clusters that will take $15 billion to do over a period of 5 years, that will generate nothing less than $109 billion annually for the next 40 years using this approach. But they won't do it. The same thing for those from the south. They won't listen. They will not listen. Here is one country where we can generate nothing less than $500 billion from non-oil sector, mostly agro value chain. Driven. We've done the numbers. What we will do, how we will do it, when we will do it. That will also ensure massive security cover in such a way that the life expectancy of Nigeria will move from the current 54 to almost 75 years within the next 20 years. But you are talking to people who have refused to listen, who have refused to do the right things. We are led by mostly bunch of hoodlums and who are followed by mass lecherous, leg-spittling human beings who only see value in thieves and criminals. Once you're able to steal money and share with them, you're a mega man. God have mercy on all of you.